hope that you're all well and that you're all looking forward to spring and feeling a little bit more hopeful towards the future. Anyway, on this episode, I have Becky Houlding, who is the Operations Manager of New Wortley Community Association. They do all kinds of amazing things down there, and they have really been so helpful to the community which they serve. Have a listen and see what you think. On this episode of the Coronavirus Extraordinary episodes of Light on Leeds, I have Becky Houlding come to speak to me. Hello, Becky.
Hi.
Very nice to remotely connect with you today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Becky, you are the Operations Manager at New Wortley Community Association. Can you tell us a bit about what it is that you do there?
Yeah, so I really, as Operations Manager, I'm responsible for overseeing the activities, projects, looking after the staff, and making sure that delivery and the things we deliver are delivered in a safe way. Also get involved with sort of funding the creative ideas and the community and that type of thing, really.
So what area do you actually cover? I know you call the New Wortley Community Centre, but what sort of span do you have?
We cover New Wortley and Armley area, really, so sort of LS12 area is our remit. I think originally when the organisation was first set up, it was very much focused around New Wortley because there were a lot of issues and a lot of, I think the local residents did feel that they got missed quite a bit. So it was set up and it was predominantly just New Wortley, but what's happened through all the work that we've also been doing is that Armley and people from Armley have needed supporting as well. So it's sort of a broader range now.
Yes, so you're covering more people, which is great.
Yeah.
And what kind of, can you give me any examples of the kind of things that you put on down there?
Yeah, so we have various things actually, but we have lots of different services. So we have building blocks, which is sort of like a support service that runs at the centre, and that's to help anybody. So people can walk in off the street, they can be referred by the GP, they can be referred from the local primary schools, and it's a support service that helps people address sort of what their issues are at the time. So it could be anything from, I don't know, financial difficulty to something around mental health or something that's felt a little bit more serious. And we look at a pathway, so a route to where we sort of want to help support people get to the next step. We also run a counselling service here, so the LADS project, which is the listening and direct support service, and that's run with the local CCGs. We have an offender support programme here as well, so that's where we support people that are coming out of prison and we help them with the housing needs, getting onto universal credit, looking for employment, getting bits and pieces for the house, things like that. We've also got a community cafe and community centre where people can come in, socialise, usually of course, socialise, and also we have rooms to hire. So we have things for personal use such as birthday parties and things. We've got a big space, but then we've got other smaller rooms that can be used for meetings, conferences. We've got a community laundry as well, so that the local people can use that. And I think the thing to add really is that it's a community-owned community centre, and it's very much we address the need and the priorities that are sort of going on locally. We look at, sort of making social change and sort of identifying things and coming up with solutions together as a community on how we sort of tackle them. So we do a lot of engagement work and community work. In the centre itself, we have various different projects and activities that go on. So for example, before COVID, we had things like Zumba, we had karate, we had art courses, lots and lots of different things really, training in various different things as well. So a lot of these have gone to Zoom currently, but we're hopeful that over the next few months then these will start going again, got walking groups. So it's about health, well-being, socializing, making a difference in your area. And yeah, we target a broad age range. It's sort of like from birth to death as well. We have supper clubs for older members and things. So yeah, we really do sort of help and support a lot of the local community.
It's just fantastic the work that you're doing. And would you say that because you're community owned, that makes a big difference because you're able to focus more on what people want and, rather than give them what they might not actually need?
Yeah, definitely. I think so long as we've got the right things in place to be able to run our centre safely, to know what the need is and sort of demonstrate and look at creative ways and solutions as well. Because the other thing is the local community and the resources we have around here are amazing. It's all them skills that people bring together and the different things that they're able to do together. It's just great. And we've got loads of green, sort of hidden green spaces in amongst all the flats and houses. We've got other community buildings that we're able to access sometimes if we want to do that. And I think just because we are community led and community owned, the local community know what the needs are. They can identify these things. And we sort of work on that basis.
Do you get people from the community coming to you and suggesting things that they'd like to do, courses, for example?
Yes, we do. And we have a brilliant team of staff as well that are also, we do get a lot of people that wander in and say, I don't know why I've come, but my GP sent me.
Oh,
And it is that thing where they come in and we have a cup of tea and a bit of a chat. And within 5 or 10 minutes, you're able to sort of assess and just see what type of support it might be. For some, it's just having that social element where, they live alone, they're a bit fed up, they might want to come in and they might want to join a class. Whereas for others, it could be that they need a hand with something else like the finances. So, do we have anything running here? If not, how do we refer them on to our other, partner organisations or local people that we work with. And it's about having all that. It's about having access to different things for different people because it's a real mixed bag of things that people sort of need help and support with. We have training programmes, we have employment support, we work closely with Leeds City Council, mental health organisations, local businesses, lots and lots, the local primary schools and secondary school. So yeah, it's a real mix what we sort of do.
And have you been there doing that for a long time? Has the community centre been around for long?
The community centre, I believe, was set up it's before my time, but I believe was set up in 1982. So, and I've been here just under 4 years now. Now, when I first started, it's sort of in two sections, but we did get some money from Power to Change to build an additional building which forms part of the community centre, and by doing that as well, that went out to community consultation. The community got involved with Leeds Beckett University. They designed the building. They were involved very much in every step that sort of took place, but that sort of put us on the map a little bit and made it so that we had more accessible space. We could set up the community cafe, and we could get people in and we could identify and do that chatting and that talking and that engagement and find out what the real issues were and how we were going to tackle and deal with them. So yeah, so it's been around for a number of years, but it's slowly built its way up, and until we've got to a point really like in the last 4 or 5 years, it's really become something we're recognised a little bit more now as well. So, people, you find that more people have heard of you, but we've really built up that momentum and we couldn't have done it without everybody sort of pulling together.
Yeah, of course. And like you said, because you're dealing with, from small children to the elderly, there must always be something interesting going on and always something different, I imagine.
Oh, honestly, it's so exciting. You have days where, you go home and you think, I need to help this family, or I need to help this person, and how do I access this and stuff. But there's so much exciting stuff going on, and like I say, because we're getting people together and you identify skills or even ideas, where people want to create something or do something. It can be an event, a one-off event, or it can be to set up a group or formulate a plan, or it can be part of our volunteering program where, we've got volunteers that have come and identified something else that they want to do. It's just so dynamic, and you're always sort of moving, and it's always changing, but the fundamentals are the same. But it's about being creative as well and working with people to do that.
Have you always been in a role similar to this, Becky?
No, I've always sort of been in, I suppose, management roles over time. I've sort of built my way up, but originally I started in retail, and then I went back to university and I did a degree when my children were small, and it sort of built from there. Really, I was really interested in community work, and just I'm quite a social person anyway, so I like to have a chat and I like to check in on people, and it's something that's built from there really. But definitely that thirst to help and support. But I love what I love about this role actually is the being able to provide opportunity for people.
Yeah.
So it's quite simply, give it a try. Whatever it is, try it. How do you know if you like it unless you've tried it? And I love doing that, even if people say, oh, I'm not doing that again because it were rubbish or it were boring. But it's that thing, isn't it, about providing opportunities for people, and supporting. So yeah, I get a real buzz out of that type of thing.
That's great. Yeah. It sounds like you're just absolutely in the perfect role. And how have things changed during all of the strangeness of COVID? I imagine it must have been very difficult for you at first when you're used to seeing people in the community face to face and, running your community cafe and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's worked in two ways really, because at first when nobody knew what was happening, nobody knew, how to deal with anything. I mean, as a centre, we became one of the 33 community hubs across Leeds to sort of take the lead and help people that were shielding or for whatever reason needed, the shopping doing, a befriending course or checking in, prescriptions picking up. We worked with Leeds City Council on that and Voluntary Action Leeds, so they would send over people who were, who had said, we want to give up our time to help and do this. So it was very chaotic in the beginning, in terms of trying to fathom out the best way of doing things and the best processes and procedures, and how do you safeguard and how do you do X, Y, and Z. But then I think by the end of the first couple of months, we sort of got into a bit of a system. We had a brilliant team of staff, not just from the community centre, but from Leeds City Council, and Voluntary Action Leeds, that sort of met and worked on all this as well. And I think from that point there, getting things like that in place, it then opened up lots of other opportunities as well. So, I mean, one of the things is that by being one of the community hubs, we've actually reached and had a lot more new people who now know and have, gained access to food parcels, help and support, things like that, than what we had before. And had it have not been for COVID, then we possibly wouldn't have been put in contact with them now. From that, we've sort of engaged in lots of other activity around sort of different ethnicities and cultural groups, because we've also learned a lot about, people, even down to like diet and what people eat and things. It's just been like a mass learning ground, because you've had to survive and get through the period, but also, keep your staff chipper and going and look at what volunteers you've got and that you're trying to develop, and how to deliver things safely, and how to get out there and, to the people that are in need and need things. So it's been sometimes it's been quite emotional, but then a lot of times you come away with that feeling that what you are doing is actually benefiting hugely somebody else, and I think that's it really. It's been getting the logistics of everything sorted. It's been we can't have people in, but how do we communicate with them then? And it's been looking at all these different ways and processes. And we had our elderly people's club, supper club, and lunch club. They used to come into the centre, so instead we go out to them. So we've generated a hot food delivery service for those that were vulnerable and shielding, and that meant that it wasn't just about delivering the hot meal, it was that we could check in and have a little conversation with them as well, and just make sure that they were all right, because sometimes on the telephone it's hard to people say that they're okay or they're fine, but that's not necessarily the case. So yeah, it's changed lots of things in the way of working, but we like a bit of a challenge as well. It's as if we master one thing and then it's like, right, what can we do? So it's that type of thing. But I think it's not been an easy job in trying to keep, I suppose, everybody trucking, because I don't care who you are, what your background is. I think everybody at some point has felt flat or unmotivated or struggled a little bit with just what has been going on, because nobody was really prepared for it. And I think the biggest thing is how many people have actually come forward, and they've donated time, they've donated food items, they've donated Christmas presents, it's that whole thing of how fabulous sort of like the uptake has been on that, and how much people do actually want to help out in the local communities.
It's great that something positive can be seen from something that's been, so awful in many ways. And I think it's fantastic that you're saying, you've managed to get in touch with so many more people than you normally would, and more people know about you and what services you can provide.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. We don't know. We might have come across, people as well, but it is that thing that I think, because we did become the helpline, our remit now is wider. And this is the thing I was saying about, predominantly we were New Wortley and we were about New Wortley, but then we've realized, there's more people out there that need the help and support, and there's more groups that have been identified, which we can work with and we can do things with. There's things that have been highlighted around, the need for sort of like the impact on mental health, and the need and the lack of service provision that's available. It sort of highlights things like that, but then also it's the positivity is the other side of it, and the fact that people in a crisis, people do pull together. They can pull together. It doesn't matter what your neighbourhood's like or whatever. You have those people that pull together and they want to, sort of continue with that positive stance and change and things. So yeah, it's
a bit of positivity out of the gloom.
I think so. I think so. We do try and stay positive around here as well. That's the other thing. It's everything has a solution, and it's about sitting and trying to work it out, and that's the thing, isn't it? There is always somebody out there who can help.
And you were telling me a little bit about you have a food store currently.
Yeah, so basically, due to the community care stuff we did, we've ended up developing a distribution hub, really, which we say a distribution hub, but it is actually a room that we've put shelving in, and we've managed to get, sort of like food. We work with different partners, so like Fair Share, Rethink, Leeds Food Aid Network, and things, to sort of like get food together to be able to deliver food parcels. As well, and we got a little bit of funding to help out with that. But then what sort of come on the back of that is that you have people that come through on the helpline, and they come through every single week, and that's fine, but it's like, how do we help these people? How do we create something sustainable and help these people so they're not having to rely on that each week? So we developed a set of recipes, basically, and you pay an amount per recipe. It feeds up to 6 people. I think it's £1.50 currently, and basically it's a meal in a bag. So you can if there's any families that are struggling, or they can have 7 meals for £7.50, I think it is, for the week, 7 evening meals. And then there's also an additional 10 items that you can purchase as well. And it's all low cost ways in which to be able to feed your family. So this is one of the things that we've just started now, and we're starting to develop, but the uptake has actually been quite good. If you've only got, for example, £30 to feed your family on for the week or whatever, then a small part of that, you could get 10 items and 7 evening meals from ourselves, for I don't know, £10, I think it
That's
is.
amazing.
So it's looking at things like that. How do we help people that are struggling, especially when it comes to poverty and food? And we've done a lot of stuff around the healthy holidays and promoting that with the families and the children and making sure people are fed. But this is like an additional way in which people can then continue with that method of support. But also, you do it online, so it's, some people are a little bit proud, and they don't want people to know that they're having to access, or they won't access something like a food parcel because they're too proud to do so. And I can completely understand that. But this is also a way in which they can just discreetly, order the meals that they want or the recipes that they want, and have them delivered to the door. So, yeah.
It's great that you thought about that, the idea that some people might not feel comfortable coming to a food bank or accepting a food parcel. And I suppose it's kind of what you've been talking about. You have to look at all these things all the way around, don't you, from every perspective.
Everything we do really is it's a bit like a research project or a learning journey, because we try some things that people have asked for and we think, yeah, they're going to work because 300 people said that da 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 da, and then you do it and it doesn't work as well as you expected, so you revisit and you think, right, why hasn't it, what do we do differently? And I think that's it, we revisit all the time to see how things are going, what the need is. And I think in terms of the food store, and even the distribution hub that we've now got, that is all a positive as a result of COVID. Because we wouldn't have had the food store. We before that we referred people to the food banks. So it's that thing, isn't it? It was about basically the whole COVID pandemic. It was addressing need, so the instant need that was there, and then the fact that we had so many people to help and support, and I suppose limited resources in some respect, because a lot of places are closed, so even the regular things that they did they weren't doing. So it was trying to find out whether we could fit it in or find the relevant person or service to be able to accommodate. And so it's always a learning journey with what we do, really.
And I suppose as time's gone on, when you think about when everything first happened last March, I suppose as well it must have been quite a time for you all, because people's needs perhaps have fluctuated in that time. So there was the first lockdown, then we sort of had a little bit of easing, and then I mean, I know for myself personally, and people that I know have found this last period very difficult, because you're in winter, it's dark, you're not going out and seeing people as much. So I suppose you've sort of ridden that wave as well.
Definitely. And that is where it has been vital to have, sort of the staff, the availability of staff that can contact people and stay connected. Because that's the other thing, isn't it? It's that technology and things as well at the moment. We've got, this has forced people down the route of like using Zoom, Microsoft Teams, all this type of thing. However, we've got a lot of families and people that didn't have access to, anything in terms of an Android or a laptop, or to be able to do it. And then if we managed to get them one, how could we show them how to use it? Would they know how to use it? So there's still probably a huge group of people that are marginalised. yeah, it's that thing of always looking. It's like I say about solutions, looking for the solutions and how do we stay connected with these people then. And yeah, I mean, just talking through this now, we forget stuff that we did way back when it first started a year ago. But, it's like we had the children from the local primary school. They wrote letters to the people the older people we were delivering hot meals to on an evening, and then they would write back. So we started this whole um, letter writing scheme. We've got staff that ring up and do welfare checks. We've got the hot meal and food parcel delivery, which allows us, as I've already explained, to visually check that somebody's okay and is looking well and things, and so they can flag up any causes of concern or anything like that we might have. But it's been about looking at all these other ways in which to stay connected with people. So yeah, and that's probably been one of the most challenging parts, I think. But then also, within when we've been able to meet one other person in an outdoor setting, so at them periods of time, we've sort of focused on the most vulnerable members of the community, our groups and things, and offered that. So sort of like a member of staff outside the building with all the correct procedures in place, but just to have a cup of tea and that social interaction, because we have got a lot of people that live alone and use the centre as exactly that, just a base to talk to other people and speak to other people, and that's been the most difficult part.
I imagine as well it's been quite stressful for you to sort of keep up to date with, everything's just been changing so fast, and the guidance that you're given from the government and stuff can sometimes appear to be quite vague. And I imagine that must have been quite a challenge for you as well.
Yeah, that has been a challenge. And the other thing is, it's making sure the information that you've got is actually the correct information, and things as well. And I think sometimes because it has been vague, it's about, as an organisation, it's ensuring that you're happy in implementing what it is that you're going to do, and that you are happy that the correct measures are in place, and that you are reducing that risk of anybody getting COVID or us spreading COVID if we've had anybody in. And I think if you sort of get that right, then it's fine. But there is always that constant work, even if you have got a small group. So we have a small group of young people that have been accessing the centre through lockdown. And that is because they're a vulnerable group. But all the time you sort of and making sure that you've wiped everything down when somebody's used it, that it's difficult, but that they're keeping the social distance, and that type of thing. So it's it it's been a bit like, at first it were a bit like wading through treacle, but I do think a lot of other services have got a lot better as well at getting the information out. So I'm involved in lots of regular meetings now that sort of tackle restrictions and guidelines, what applies to community centres or groups, what you can do and what you can't do. But ultimately, every organisation, it's their decision as to how they do it, how they're going to do it, and are they sort of sticking to those guidelines. It's
Yeah, interesting times. And can I ask you, Becky, have you always lived in Leeds?
Yes, I've always lived in Leeds. Yes.
So you're perfectly qualified to answer the 3 questions that I ask every guest.
Yeah.
The first question being, what would you say is great about the city of Leeds?
I think I'll just say, actually, when I was younger and I lived in Leeds, I was a bit like, oh, I wish I lived somewhere else because Leeds is a bit boring or whatever. But if you look at Leeds now, especially over the, I don't know, probably past 30 years, and you see sort of the developments, the things that have been going on, so like the local initiatives, the fact that we've now got child-friendly Leeds and things that are being focused on as a city. I actually, if I was talking to somebody, I would say come and live in Leeds, because I think it's just got that I don't know, it's sort of creative but innovative, and I mean, I'm quite into sort of the architecture and how things are set up and that type of thing. But even in terms of buildings and things that have been developed, we've got so much interest there. We've got the art gallery, we've got so many resources. You know, we've got the art gallery, town hall if you want to go to a concert or get married, you know, things like that. There's so many provisions here. I'm quite involved at the moment with like women friendly Leeds as well, and it does feel like that we have got, I don't know, creating a better city. But, you know, pulling everybody in, being a little bit more inclusive, and you do get that general vibe about Leeds. But I think generally just the provisions that we've got. We've even got the O2 Arena now with the concert hall, which is something that we were lacking for a while. But you know, we've got a big space like that now. So I think just the, I don't know, we're going to say dynamism. You don't really get that if you're going to Leeds at the moment, but mainly because lots of places are closed. But it's just a vibrant city. Yeah, that's always developing, always changing with the times. And yeah, that's what I sort of love about it. And we've got so many fabulous green spaces as well, and parks. You know, so we've got the urban built up spaces, but then we've got all these lovely green spaces and things to go out and visit.
Yeah, we're very, very lucky. And if you had to choose something that's not so great, what would you say?
Do you know what? I really don't know. I've been trying to think about this and what's not great about Leeds. I think it would be something like there is a lot of development in the inner city. There are things going on. We are vibrant, but I think the thing that I do find most upsetting is that like New Wortley and like Little London and stuff, we've got these really deprived areas that are right next, you know, right on the doorstep, right next door, and it's can we not do something about this? Can we not try and develop these areas and spaces and things like that? And I do find that quite sad sometimes, because you do look at, you know, sort of like the new build. I've talked about buildings and the buildings that are going up and the development, but then the opposite side of that is there's areas that are really undeveloped and they really need that money to, you know, sort of create something and be a part of it. And I think that creates that marginalism really, and yeah, separation.
Yeah, it would be great if there was a little bit more, you know, obviously it seems like there's a lot concentrating on the city centre, but I agree with you. I live in Beeston, and it would just be really nice to, if some of that sort of wealth spread out a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah.
And if somebody had been a resident of Leeds for a long time, would you be able to tell them about something that you think is a hidden gem that they might never have heard of?
Hidden gem. Hidden gem. I think there's lots of hidden gems in Leeds. But what I do love about Leeds is that you're never, I mean, I'm quite an outdoor person, but you're never actually that far from a green space or a canal walk or something like that. I think I'm creative. I like to be outdoors. I love things like Leeds Art Gallery and being able to wander in there free of charge and have a look round. But also I love discovering these little pockets and areas to just get out there and have a walk and take somebody with you and have a chat and that type of thing. I think for me it's that type of thing. But as a specific place, I'm sorry, I really can't think of a.
It's probably best not to anyway, because you wouldn't want it to be spoiled by everybody else going there.
But it is that thing about the parks and things like that, though. I think was just having access to places like that as well is great.
It really is. I mean, I live in a very built up area, and I live sort of 2 minutes away from what's actually at the end of my street, Crossflats Park, and I don't have a car, so it's not like I can drive to like a beauty spot or anything. And it's just been a real godsend for me just to make myself get out and have a walk around the park, and then also just see how well it's used. And I really hope that everybody holds on to that when all this is finished. And I live really near Middleton Woods as well, and it's amazing to see all the various things.
And that's fabulous, isn't it? Yeah.
It really is, because you've got, you know, people walking dogs, people with their kids, people on, there's that whole mountain bike area. I just think, I've felt really grateful for the closeness of the outdoor space and just how accessible it is.
Yeah, definitely.
And what do you think you'll be doing with the rest of your day today, Becky?
Well, actually, we're running a project. It's Bike Club. So we have some young people that come and they learn how to fix bikes up, do bike maintenance and checks and things like that. So we've actually got that. We'll be here a bit later tonight till about 6:30, and we've got 2 groups of young people coming to participate in our bike club. So that's quite exciting.
It does sound really exciting.
We're hoping to go to Middleton Bike Park, actually. So we'll be taking them there once they've done the bikes and they've been checked and everything else. We'll be going to hit the urban bike park.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and it's really well used and by a really wide range of sort of ages as well, which I think is great.
Yeah. So that'll be the rest of our day here today, I think, and then I'll be going home and hopefully putting my feet up and relaxing because it's Friday.
Yay! Well, thank you so very much for coming along and talking to me. I will put lots of links in the podcast notes that people can find you and look at all the services that you're offering.
Brilliant. That's great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming along. I'll speak to you soon.
We'll tell you. Wait a minute.
It was great to chat to Becky Houlding. New Wortley Community Association just sound like they're doing a plethora of things for their local community. Please do check out the podcast notes so that you can get involved. You can see that they've got their food store, and if you're in New Wortley or in Armley and you need support with any of the services that Becky mentioned, do have a look at the website and get yourself down there and get involved. The song that I'm featuring on this week's episode is a beautiful one called Cry Baby Cry by the band Titanium. I really hope that you enjoy it.
You shouted out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, but all your bullets ricochet. You shoot me down, but I get